What are you devoted to? That is what you love. You are pure love, not your emotions. Your emotions come from your ego. Your ego is driven by desire, not love. Thus, your emotions are how your desires feel to your ego. Pure love is devotion, not emotion. So I'm saying this because we have Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Scorpio now, but just in general, deeper wisdom for Scorpio energy and people who have a lot of planets there, or the ascendant there, or when planets go through Scorpio in the sky, these kinds of things. This is the big kind of evolutionary process that is going forward. Again, the deeper Scorpio wisdom is about devotion, not emotional triggering. Now, because Scorpio is ruled by Mars, there's this strengthening that's happening where we're trying to strengthen our emotional responses and reactions. But it's ironic because we're weakest as far as our agency and autonomy and individual power, which is what Mars is concerned with. We're at our weakest in those areas of life when we're connected to the heart, particularly through our emotions. When we're living in our emotions, we're at our personal weakest. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, no, but what about emotional strength, power? Emotional strength and power is actually devotion. For example, the things that you're devoted to give you the most power, just like the things you love give you the most power. And the things you love are the things that you're committed to in your life, and it's an unshakable source of strength and power. But that's devotion. You're devoted to those things, which means it's deeper than just the emotions on the surface. So this transformation of emotions on the surface to devotion at the depth of the heart is really what Scorpio is interested in. So when planets go through Scorpio in the sky, someone has a lot of planets in Scorpio in their natal chart, or just in general to understand this aspect of life, this is what's happening. Because again, as we read this again, you'll see your pure love, not your emotions. Your emotions come from your ego. Ego is not some Jungian structure. I'm not talking about that Western psychological ego. I'm talking about, in the Eastern sense, the ego is that limited self. So understand this correctly. I'm not talking about like, I have a healthy ego and healthy boundaries. In a spiritual sense, there is no healthy ego in that context. It's just the illusion that you're this separate person and all the energy you put into defending this separate individual. In the highest sense, that's not real. That's not your ultimate reality. So if you want to move beyond all of that defense of your separateness and all of those things, you have to understand that part of it. And as it says here, your ego, that separate sense, is driven by desire. It's desire to possess something, to have something. I'm this person in this body who wants this thing. So your emotions come from that, from this desire of the ego. But that's not love. That's not what anchors your life. Again, your life is anchored on what you love, not your desires in the moment. Your desires in the moment, what we would call emotions, and how those emotions feel, or how those desires feel to your ego, that's what creates the emotional aggravation on the surface. It's like the surface of the water. Underneath the water is deep and calm if you go deep into it. But on the surface, there's waves and there's hurricanes, and the surface of the water is very turbulent. So your emotions are how your desires feel to your ego. Emotions, on the surface, are how your desires, I want this thing, oh, I got it, good, I'm happy, happy emotion. That's good, good, positive, happy emotion. I didn't get it, oh, negative emotion, bad, bad, good, bad, all this emotion. And what we typically do is we act through those emotions. We don't really use a lot of discrimination. We have a lot of emotions. We're driven by our emotions. And then our mind and communication and thought process just is kind of on a loop. It's sort of more confirmation bias than it is actually thinking with discrimination about what we're doing. That's the Mercury function. If you look at your life, the things that drive you are the things that you truly love underneath it all. But then as you interface with the world, you have desires to try to get some of that or more of that based on your illusion of separateness. And then you create a lot of stories. Oh, this is why that happened. Oh, I did it because of that. Oh, this is what all that means. But we very rarely question the story. The story is just a loop, a sort of confirmation bias. Oh, that's why I did that, and we try to make sense out of the things we do that don't make sense. So in general, this is how Scorpio energy evolves from emotion and emotional battles and struggles to devotion, a deeper devotion in the heart. So very powerful Scorpio psychology revolves around things like, again, devotion to God in the highest sense, but also to friends and situations and relationships where you don't want anything from them. For example, Scorpio people in general who have, Scorpio ascendant or a lot of planets, they're very devoted to like their friendships, and because they don't want anything from them. They're not trying to get validation or have sex with them or do other kinds of things or get into some kind of, I want this from you. And when I get it, it's good. When I don't, it's bad. Or are you more powerful than me when I'm vulnerable in my emotions? And this kind of struggle that can happen with Scorpio relative to desires. When desires come in, that's when Scorpio gets turbulent. But in the highest sense, you could see a very devotional state because it's those fixed emotions, that devotion. So to like friends, even to like animals or ones that they can care for and protect, and even larger causes. This is why, Scorpio has that deep sensitivity to defending those who need defending, right? That's why, for example, animals, defending the defenseless. So that higher Scorpio psychology is about devotion, not emotion. And you should always keep that in mind. And remember, pure love is that devotion, not the emotions in the moment. So go into that deeper Scorpio wisdom in your life. It's not about emotional triggering. It's about devotion. For a limited time, I'm offering 10 hours of masterclasses, Yoga and Vedic Astrology, Quantum Vedic Astrology, and Spiritual Astrology Masterclass. These are 3 great courses that will really help you a lot. Now, in case you don't know who I am, I taught the AstroVed certification course, Dattatreya Shiva Baba, in 2010. Ravi Shankar published my book in 2018. I've been around for decades. I've been teaching these great classes, and if you go to VedicAstrologyEssentials.com, you can get this 90% off discount of these 3 great classes, more than 10 hours, guaranteed value. You can check this out. These 3 classes will give you all the necessary tools to begin to learn Vedic astrology. Please find me on YouTube at Sam Jeppy, Vedic Astrology Teacher. On there since 2007, thousands of hours of classes. Also on Facebook at Astrology Teacher, tons of articles updated regularly, and I'm on Instagram at Vedic Astrology 108, ongoing updates and interaction.